Okay, guys, I'm back. I've done a lot of thinking since yesterday when I learned about just how bad of a fat ally I was. As a fellow thought person, I didn't realize that we were actually a part of community and that I needed to subscribe to all the ideals and beliefs of this supposed community. And I'm just here to do the work and figure out how to be a good fat ally. So I decided to dig deep. I'm going to look back and see just basically where fat allyship started and like when it first started to take off. I really don't know anything. It's kind of a shame. I feel like I've let my community down being fat and all, especially with all the weight loss. That was I didn't know I wasn't supposed to do that. Um, Anyways, I found two articles to kind of teach me, walk me through the ways in which I can do better and be a better person, do the work. And one of them is from September 3rd, 2013, like almost, like 12 years ago, close to that. Another one is from December 20th, 2024. So we're going to see, what it kind of looked like 12 years ago and what it looks like today. So yeah, come on this journey with me and figure out how you too can be a good fat ally. Yes. Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just gonna be doing some presenting here. Lazy video week, month, year. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Let's share screen. Yay. Maybe I'll edit this out. Maybe I won't. I don't know yet. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, guys. How to be a fat activism ally. I forgot about the activism part because remember what we learned when I took the quiz yesterday about if I was fat phobic or not. Spoiler, I was. Go watch the video. What I didn't know, what was a part of fat phobia, was it's just not good enough to be against fat phobia. You must be actively anti-fat phobic. That means if you're not out there advocating against it, you're a part of the problem. Yeah, I know. I didn't know either. But we're all here to learn and do better, right, guys? Right? Right? Okay. Yeah, okay. So let's see here. How to be a fat activism ally. Let's read. It's by someone named Reagan Chastain. Reader Julie emailed me. Email. If it was today, it'd be like somebody send me something through the socials, DM me. A question that I get a lot. How can a thin person best be an ally to fat activism? Well, I've already failed because I'm not thin yet. Yet. Oh, you hear it? It's still in there. The words are still, the fat phobia is ingrained in me. I've internalized it. First of all, thank you for asking. I always really appreciate when people ask about this, and I want to take my best shot at answering the question. Let me start by saying that this is exactly what it is. My best shot. I can only give you my opinion on how to be an ally to me as a fat person and fat activist. Of course, the community of fat people is as varied as any community comprised, it's my bad reading again, of those who share a single physical characteristic in a time of stigma and oppression. Unsurprisingly, that means that we have different ideas about fact activism. We ascribe to different theories of anti oppression work, different interpretations of those theories, and we have different ideas of the best way to be an ally and an activist for the matter. And that's just fat activists. There are fat people who aren't interested in fat activism at all. Oh, I think she's talking about me now, including those who prefer to attempt to solve social stigma through weight loss. I'm being called out. Or believe that they don't face stigma for their size, which is absolutely their right. Okay, she's acknowledging that I exist. That's interesting. I don't say this to discourage you. I just want to be upfront about the fact that if you want to be an ally, it's a reality. It's also not unique to fat activism. It is a situation that faces everyone who wishes to be an ally to oppressed communities. So, to recap, I'm happy to give you my thoughts, but I would also recommend asking other fat activists as well. I believe that for those thin people who are interested in doing fat activism work, there are levels that you can choose based on where you are at personally, as well as at any given situation. They aren't hard and fast, and you can totally skip around, but they form a start. Okay, so we got some levels here. Level one is personal. Remember yesterday we learned about the interpersonal and the interpersonal. We're going to see what this personal here. Start with yourself. Consider doing the following. Okay, so listen, part one. Listen to what fat people are saying. Read our blogs. Come to our talks. Ask questions to those who are open to that. Okay, so interesting. Seek out diverse opinions. Fat people of color, fat queer trans, people fat People with disabilities, in-betweenies, and super fats. Oh, I'm a fat person with disabilities. Do I count? I mean, like I said, it's always those like intersectionalities, right? Okay, listen, part two, avoid making every conversation about fat shaming into a conversation about how thin people experience self-hatred, body shaming, etc. Yes, it happens. Yes, it sucks. Yes, it's wrong. Yes, it deserves to be talked about, but not in every space where fat issues are talked about. Part of being an ally is knowing when to make the situation about the group you are being an ally to and learning ways to empathize other than telling stories about how something like that happened to you. Just so you know, this is one is super tough for me in spaces where I'm trying to be an ally. I'm a storyteller, and that's how I was taught to empathize, and I still struggle with it. Though I think that there is one. I don't think you even have to believe that there is a contextual difference between thin shaming and fat shaming to understand that the issues of thin people do not have to be addressed in every fat activism space all the time. How long was that sentence? Dang. Okay. The world bombards us with stereotypes about fat people. It wouldn't be surprising as some of them have made their way into your subconscious, so no need to freak out with the guilt when it happens. Just notice when you have scripts play about stereotypes to fat people, i.e., you see a fat person at McDonald's and start to think negative things about them, and interrupt those thoughts, i.e., why is she using IE when she should be using EG? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be like a grammar snob, but like if you're using an example, that's like EG is an example. IE means like in other words. Okay, so IE used incorrectly. Notice how many thin people are also at McDonald's. Remind yourself that this 20-second moment of someone's life is not indicative of anything and isn't enough information from what to extrapolate. Remind yourself that people get to eat whatever they want. Lather, rinse, repeat. That was weird. Like, was that weird? That whole section was weird. Stop body snarking. Stop making negative comments about other bodies, including yours. Me, I'm always talking about mine. But stop giving attention to body snarking. Don't click on best worst bodies lists or articles about how stars have gained weight or lost weight and don't discuss them. Refuse to participate in conversations about it. Walk away or give your opinion of Miley Cyrus spelled incorrectly. Miley Cyrus is poor friends, but don't compare her body to Lady Gaga's and point out that it's not cool. Is she calling Lady Gaga fat? Kind of sounds like you did. Stop engaging in diet talk, including including food moralizing, good food, bad food, sinful food, guilt-free food, etc. And crime and punishment. View of food as I ate a cookie, so I had to do X amount of time on the elliptical. Okay, that was long. This is long. There's a lot of I need to learn about fat activism. But let's see. Level 2, your social circle. Post fat activism things on your social media. Because remember, as I said, it is not enough to be anti-fat phobic. You must be actively anti-fatphobic. Okay. Bring fat activism up in conversation. So people are discussing dieting. Talk about your health at every size practice. When the subject of weight comes up, bring up things that you have read or heard about in fat activism. Interrupt body snarking. It would be my suggestion that you do so gently. I tend to use global statements to help defray the sense of the defensiveness. Something like, I wish we lived in a world where all bodies could be respected, or I wish we lived in a world where women weren't encouraged to attack each other. Something that can start a conversation without saying, I wish you would shut the hell up with your negative body talk. Okay, so I find when women talk a lot about other women attacking each other, they're usually the ones doing it the most. Just to get real for a second. Whenever I hear people say, like, all women are, bitchesses, I'm usually like, okay, but how many female friends do you have? Because if we all have female friends and you don't, maybe it's you who is the bitch. Just saying. Make your plans fat friendly. Does that restaurant have tables with chairs that don't have arms? Does that theater have arms that raise? When you announce the plans, put these things in the announcement subtly so that your fat friends will know without asking that it is a fat friendly environment. I.e., we'll be going to Jack's restaurant. We'll be at the big table in the back with the comfy armless chairs. I used incorrectly again. Remember that problem isn't that your fat friends need those things. The problem is that the business should have planned to accommodate people of all sizes and didn't. Okay. So yeah, I always hear people talk about like the chairs and stuff in schools and how like you'll have like the ones that like flop down like that and okay. I'll just tell you, even if you can fit in them, they're still not comfortable. So that isn't just a you problem, although I understand why it's a bigger you problem. And like I said, it always comes back to airplanes. Airplane seats are terrible. Okay. Level 3, your community and beyond. Insist that everyone should have what you have. If you can get on a plane and fit comfortably in a seat, ask why everyone doesn't get that experience. If you can shop at a variety of clothing stores with a variety of styles and price levels, ask why everyone doesn't have that option. This is part of the concept of thin privilege. Ooh, is there an article on it? Oh, thin privilege. Write an email insisting that they write an email insisting that they start providing that service that you receive to people of all sizes. Okay, guys, we got to start an email campaign. We're going to harass, I don't know, Forever 21 and ask them why they don't carry a 6X. Join projects. When you see fat activists creating petitions or starting letter writing campaigns, add your voice. Sometimes fat activists get shut down based on the premise that our activism is an attempt to justify our fat. I think the fact that thin fat activists aren't subjected to that criticism can have real advantages. Okay. Put your money where your activism is. If a venue doesn't accommodate fat people, doesn't have chairs without arms, doesn't have armrests with that raise, etc., don't spend your money there and tell them why. Insist that they fix it. Walk into Lululemon or Abercrombie and Fitch and let them know why they've lost you as a customer until they want your fat friends as customers. Yes, even though businesses are allowed to choose target demographics. Okay, interesting thing about this. Side story, completely off topic. So there was like Abercrombie and Fitches everywhere, like in Tokyo, like not everywhere, but like in certain places in Tokyo. And if you go to the one in Ginza, I'm not sure if it's still there. They have like this model, and he's usually like American or some other country. And he's like shirtless and he has like a 6-pack, and he's there so that you can take Polaroids with him. Like, I'm not even joking. And so when my friend turned 21, we went to the Abercrombie and Fitch, and we took a picture with the Abercrombie and Fitch model, and then we went to his Alice in Wonderland restaurant in Tokyo, and it was awesome. Yeah, and I never once thought, even though I was big then, I was probably around 200 pounds. Which I wish I could get back to today. Like, you keep fingers crossed, we're getting there, right? And that's before a lot of my hormone issues really spiraled out of control. I never thought like, oh, I'm ever going to fit into these clothes because they were all clearly Japanese sized, right? But I wasn't going to go to the country of Japan and be like, hey, smaller people, how about you make clothes my size? Right? People in Japan are just like naturally smaller on average. I never really complained. It's funny. Tord ships internationally. Tord literally would ship clothes to me in Japan. So I bring up Tord all the time just because they're so convenient. Speak up against potential fat shaming at work, company, biggest loser, or other weight loss contests, wellness messaging that thin is good, fat is bad. You know what? I think if your company is providing your health insurance, there is nothing wrong with them wanting you to be healthy. Work to create size-based anti-discrimination policies, ordinances, and laws. Work to proactively create spaces that are size-friendly at your job, places that you volunteer, etc. So that's a start. If you have other thoughts on being a thin fat activist, please feel free to add them to the comments. If you are or want to be a thin fat activist, then thanks. I appreciate it. I feel like this blog is what started this complete total craze of like TikTok and Instagram vloggers who are dietitians, and they're all super thin. They're all eating on camera, like as if they just had a thought, and they're gonna sit down and they're gonna eat, and they're gonna give their thought to you, right? And they're gonna tell you you don't have to lose weight to be healthy. And it's like, okay, well, why don't you gain weight? Are you gonna sit there and eat your salad? Like, show me you're eating a burger. Like burgers, I don't have an issue with burgers, but you know what I mean? It's like I I think they hold themselves to different standards than they do other people. And obviously this is a bad thing for me to read because I'm not thin. And obviously I'm not sure if being a thin activist is in the cards for me. As we all know, it's impossible to lose weight. But I'm gonna learn like read this other article. It's more recent, right? So and as we all know, people have only gotten fatter in the last 12 years. Maybe this is towards everyone now. Okay, take two, because I forgot to share my screen. Let's go. This is what happens when you don't prepare. Okay. So first thing I want to say is Amanda Martinez Beck wrote this article, December 20th, 2024, on how to be a fat ally this holiday season, the Fat Dispatch. I want to say, love the graphics. Think it's totally on point. It's cute. I gravitate towards it. But let's read. Let's read how things have evolved in the last 12 years. If you follow astrology, everything goes on a 12-year cycle. I feel like that was the last time Jupiter was in Gemini. I'm never in Jupiter and Gemini now. Let's see how things have changed. Recently, a member of my All Bodies Are Good Bodies Facebook group requested a special topic for this newsletter. Laura wrote, I personally want to hear how people living with thin privilege can best support their fat friends, both in person and behind the scenes. I realize that it isn't the responsibility of others to teach, but I'm always looking for more resources about this and appreciate when anyone is willing. I'm very willing. Okay. Let's start with the concept of size privilege. Size privilege is the reality that people in smaller bodies in any given group hold more cultural power than those in larger bodies. Since size is culturally associated with worthiness, the smaller you are, the more cultural acceptance and power you have. This is relative. A size 14 in a room of size 6s holds less cultural power than a size 14 in a room of size 26s, if that makes sense. As someone who has been a size 26 in a room full of size 6s, I don't honestly remember if I had more or less cultural power. I'm honestly very loud and I talk a lot. I would not be surprised if I talked over everybody in that room. Just saying. If you're aware of your size privilege in any given situation, you can leverage your cultural advantage to speak up for people bigger than you. Now, let's talk about fat liberation. Okay, so fat liberation is one of those interesting things because all the socialists in my comments claim that they don't want these people in their movement, and yet these people keep subscribing to your movement. Okay, so I think they're your problem. You gotta do a better job kicking them out. Okay, kick them out if you don't want them. So, what is fat liberation? Fat liberation is a social justice movement which has the goal of liberating people and everybody from injustice, whether that be size discrimination or another form of discrimination, gender, sexuality, ethnic, race, etc. That's that whole saying they have, right? Like, we're not free until, like, we're all free. It's the idea that people of any body size deserve to have their human dignity recognized and be treated with decency without the expectation that they change their body, i.e., to make it smaller. See, she used i.e. correctly. Just saying. I can see four distinct levels of fat liberation: personal, interpersonal, community based, and structural. Interesting because this is completely different than what we read yesterday. But I'm wondering personal is the intrapersonal? I'll have to go back and check. The personal, what goes on inside our heads. The interpersonal, what happens between two people. The community, what occurs within a group of people. The infrastructure, what is systematically set up in a society. Okay. Because anti fatness exists at every level, we have to aim our efforts toward each one individually. Personal. Feel like you take up too much space? Concerned about looking fat? Wondering why a thin person would ever partner with a fat person? They mean like romantically? Maybe. Because I have a lot to say about that as a fat person with on the apps. Lots of thin guys, including gym bros, really like to message you and be like, I like curvy girls. I block them because it's weird. That, these are all common examples of anti-fatness at the personal level. To bring fat liberation to the personal level means challenging those mental positions and replacing them with fat positive affirmations. Feeling like you're taking up too much space is countered by the affirmation, I have the right to take up space. Concern about looking fat is countered by the affirmations, all bodies are good bodies, or it's okay to be fat. Speculation about different sizes of people partnering together is countered by the affirmation, fatness is beautiful. Of course, these are all just I should say opinions, but apparently it's options for what your affirmations could look like. Fatness is beautiful. See, that is the one that I'm going to have to absolutely grasp as a bad fat ally because beauty is not subjective at all, right? We just have to affirm everyone. Interpersonal. Conversations with others are where interpersonal fat liberation occurs. For starters, never comment on someone's body, even if you think you're being complimentary. If you hear someone commenting on yours or another body, speak up. We don't comment about people's bodies, thanks. Negative comments about weight gain or loss are obviously detrimental to the recipient. Much more insidious are the praises of weight loss. You never know what someone is going through that might cause their body to shift, or so steer conversations towards personality traits or non-body things like accessories. You see, I've failed so many times because I'm constantly complimenting graphically Alex on his weight loss. I'm sure he's so offended. Community-based group gatherings, whether that's with family or in a place of worship, can be filled with anti-fat landmines. It's so easy for a group's culture to simply reflect the anti-fatness of culture at large. If you hear a leader or respected member of the community contributing to anti-fatness, please challenge them directly or pull them aside for a course correct. Saying something like, I'm not sure you know, but the comment you made about deserving dessert, punishing ourselves for overeating, can be connected to disordered Please don't make offhand or direct comments about anyone's food choices. Structural. Anti-fatness at the structural level is usually couched in terms of health and wellness. Examples of structural anti-fatness could look like these scenarios. Someone denied life insurance because of their CPAP. Should have been healthier. Someone earned a BMI bonus through their work insurance plan. They've earned it. My work actually has this. It's like my company offers some reimbursement through our health insurance, and I can't seem to get the website to work. It's kind of BS because I really want to use it because I'm actually losing weight and working out, and I'm trying to see if they can pay for my gym membership, and that'd be awesome. Someone rejected for surgery because of their BMI. It's too dangerous. Well, I mean, it can be dangerous. I mean, you are higher risk under anesthesia if you're a certain amount of weight. These are systematic ways that fat people are excluded and isolated from healthcare and basic decency. Sometimes it's just realities of a situation, but I know then again, I have a lot to learn, right? I mean, my fat phobia keeps coming back in my head here. I'm trying to logically work my way through this, but I guess I just have to set logic aside. Okay. During the holidays, you will probably encounter a lot of levels 1, 2, and 3. Having scripts or prompts is really helpful in the situations. Think of what you will say to your cousin who can't stop commenting on everyone's food choices. It's my grandmother. Maybe something like this. Food is morally neutral. Please stop moralizing it, or please keep your opinions of others' food choices to yourself. Because isn't it like amazing just to make family gatherings even more awkward? Becoming a good fat ally takes some work, but it is worth the labor, not only for your fat friends, but for you. Our liberation is bound up together. For liberation, together. Because remember, as I said, no one is free until we're all free, right? Right? Amanda Martinez back. Right there. Well, guys, I've learned so much today. I've been learned as I did yesterday. I feel like I've been on a journey. I found out yesterday I was super fat phobic. The quiz said so. It said my fat phobia was showing. And so I had to do the work. I had to understand that I had uncomfortable feelings in my body about the way I and other people look, and I have to do the work to correct that. And so I read these articles as you saw, and an interesting thing about them is I don't think the messaging has changed so much between 12 years ago and now. I mean, the wording has changed. Wording in the second article is definitely way more updated to like include other types of groups and such that you'll hear for more solidarity, the solidarity that they're like latching onto. But it seems like, yeah, the message is basically the same. And you know what? Good for them. You know, they have a message and they're sticking to it, and they're getting their claws in, and we're all just gonna become good fat allies, right? Right. That's the point of this video. We're all gonna be good fat allies. You know, goodness knows I'm tortured, right? I am tortured, and definitely tortured over my lack of fat allyship and what I can do to be better. Yeah. Anyways, do you guys have any like suggestions for me? What I can do better to be a good fat ally? Because all this weight loss, I mean, maybe I should just regain it, right? I see now that I've committed the ultimate cardinal sin of just trying to be healthy and not realizing I could just be healthy and exercise. But you just let me know, and I'll see if I make another lazy video tomorrow and put another hat on, because God knows I'm not doing my hair. Not for you guys. Although I love you guys. Anyways, talk to you later. Bye.